vote for somebody who can do the job.
When is the next election?
November, no, it's US.
Next week? No. Next year? No. No. Next year? No.
Provincial or federal. We need a clearinghouse in all levels.
Are you convinced that it would make a difference?
Yeah.
We disagree, so we're both necessary.
As long as we vote in somebody other than the three major parties.
I think I live in a country where the banks and corporations rule, and we don't get to vote for them.
Well, they rule by proxy. If we put somebody in there who's at the helm.
What I call a hireling. I'll name some of those later, but yeah, that's how I see it. So, not sure we're in accord with what to do. But I put up some stop signs and some green lights here. So these are my ideas, but I'm open to yours. In terms of what's ahead, I still remember my father, who's long since deceased. He said the way to get ahead is to use the one you've got. I quote him on that. So that's part of what I'm going to say when I get to the green lights. You know, scratch the old bean up here. What are we going to stop first? Borrowing, number one. Stop borrowing. Get out of debt. Stop spending. That's easier said than done, but it's possible to do that. And the third thing I say is to stop trusting the banksters and their hirelings with your money and your mind. I'm dead serious about that. In fact, I've been serious about that for a long time. I've been a do-it-yourself advocate of investing since most of you got acquainted with me. And some of you have even read a couple of books I helped write, which were do-it-yourself investing. And I always said, way to get ahead, use the one you've got. There's my dad's motto again. Scratch your own head, hold yourself responsible, learn to trust yourself. Okay, that's what you stop doing. Stop trusting other people. Only then can you begin to trust yourself. And you'll make mistakes, hopefully, and you'll learn by them even more, hopefully. What do you start doing? You start building a cash cushion that you're going to maintain. And you're going to build two other things. You're going to build community. That's the most important of all, to survive what I expect will happen. Build community. That means share your talents, your skills, your understanding, like me tonight and you tonight. We're here to share what we understand about this. If you walked up Furby Street, half a block, and looked to the right, you would see a community garden on the make. That's what I mean, that kind of thing. Yeah. Some of those folks want to grow some vegetables and don't know whether to put the seeds in upside down or right side up. But maybe you do, so you could work with them. And if your pumpkin is bigger than their zucchini, then you make a trade, you see. Work together to right the wrongs, slay the dragons, change the system by exposing the banksters. I'm big on banksters. I've been a bank basher since time immemorial. Anybody that has ever heard me talk about banks, way back to when they were restricted, heavenly days, not that nobody else hears that old except Art Wood. And it used to be that banks were restricted. They could only lend for 4 years. They could only charge 6% interest. So I think that got changed. That was in the days that we used our own bank, the Bank of Canada. We funded the war with it. We funded the post-war development with it. We funded the Canada Pension Plan with it, and the universal health system with it. Is that important? I think so. I think it made Canada what Canada is. But then in 1972, the banksters took over. They created the money from there on. And we had inflation we never saw before. Remember that? We blamed it on the Arabs. Remember that? We blamed it on the Arabs. The price of oil went up 6 times. Yeah. After that, they merged all the financial entities of the country. They took over mortgages from the trust companies, and the trust companies went under, so they bought the trust companies for a song. They bought the brokers for a big song. And what did that leave? The insurance companies. Well, the insurance companies were able to become bankers largely, and to a major extent. So they got all the pieces together, and they got every piece of dollar, every dollar that moves, get a piece of. Like, this is caveman banking. There's a guy at the club, with a big club at the edge of the cave. You went in to check your gold, he charges you. You brought some out, he charges you. Isn't that how banking works now? And hey, your gold increases in value, right? 0.5% a year in an era that we are in now, which isn't 2% inflation. If you read Harper's in May, Kevin Phillips takes apart the calculation of inflation and unemployment. And he shows it's double digits now. Yeah, and that's the kind of data that I read you from The Economist. So what are you doing buying the Globe and Mail? Or buying what they say? Big mistake. So that's where you have to start not trusting those guys and do trust you. The other thing to build is forums. Well, this is kind of a forum. By that I mean some way to share your perceptions of what's going on and what may happen and what to do about it. And I'm talking about your immediate family, I'm talking about your neighbors, I'm talking about your colleagues at work or in the golf course or a church, or we're in a church, aren't we? Yeah, okay. I know some of you people have been in churches before. And what that can do is encourage those that dare to dissent. This is a rare activity in our culture. It is. I wish it weren't. And it explains a lot of our mistake, in my judgment. That we're fearful about the consequences of dissenting, of saying, wait a minute, no, let's go through that again. What if we did that? And what if we encourage people that will stand up and not just raise a fuss at election time? No. No. I'm saying go to the heart of things, like what we're doing that's wrong. Like, what are we doing in Alberta? Anybody from Alberta here? No? Yes? I'd not rather there be somebody here to respond, you know, but Ralph Klein and Peter Loughy and those people, they're not here.
I went for a visit to Alberta.
Okay, well, here's a refugee from Alberta, Magnus Thompson.
It's booming there. I was in Fort McMurray, and a single detached dwelling is selling for $650,000. Maybe 1,100 square feet, something like that. The prices are sky high, but it's booming.
Yes, well, the price of crude's high too, I understood. But I also understood why it's a profitable activity. They're apparently